You've probably felt this without ever being able to name it. Someone sees you coming and straightens up slightly. A conversation you weren't part of gets quieter the moment you walk into the room. Someone who was mid-sentence pauses, recalibrates, finishes with slightly different words than they started with. And you noticed all of it. You always notice. You just never knew what to do with it. Here's what nobody tells you. The people most likely to intimidate others are almost always the last ones to realize they're doing it. Because from the inside, none of it feels like power. It feels like standing just slightly outside the warmth of a room you genuinely like to be part of. It feels like being the person nobody quite relaxes around. Not because you frighten them, but because something about you makes them feel like they should be performing their best self. That's a specific kind of loneliness, and it has almost nothing to do with who you actually are. So here are 7 things about you that other people read as a warning, when all you were doing was existing. 1. Your face doesn't apologize for thinking. Most people's faces run a constant background program, softening, smiling, signaling safety without being asked. Yours doesn't. When you're processing something or simply not performing for the room, your face settles into something still. And still, to a nervous brain, reads as judgment. The unfair part is that the verdict gets delivered before you've said a single word. Someone decides you're unimpressed and spends the next 10 minutes trying to fix an opinion you never actually had. 2. Silence doesn't make you uncomfortable, and it makes everyone else confess things. There's a particular kind of person who can sit in a pause and not feel the need to fill it. You might be that person. Most people patch silence out of nerves. It's a reflex, a way of managing their own discomfort out loud. When you don't do it, the room mistakes your calm for something colder than it is. Someone once described talking to a person like this as feeling like they were being interviewed by someone who already knew how it ended. You're just not anxious about the quiet the way they are. 3. You speak like the decision is already made. This one usually comes from competence, not arrogance. When you know what you think, you say it plainly. No hedging, no excessive qualification. And to someone still working out where they stand, that directness sounds like a closed door. Research from Princeton found that people sort strangers almost immediately along 2 axes: how warm they seem and how capable. The high competence, low warmth combination is the one that triggers wariness rather than trust. Not because you did anything wrong, because a stranger's brain fills in gaps with worst-case guessing faster than either of you would like. 4. You don't check for approval, so people assume you don't need anything. Watch any social situation carefully. Most people are constantly monitoring. Was that funny? Did that land? It's a quiet economy of small glances and nervous laughs. If you say something and simply let it sit there without scanning the room for reassurance, you look untouchable. Nobody registers that you might actually care what they think. They just see that you're not asking. And they mistake self-containment for indifference. The strange irony is that the person who needs the least reassurance is usually the one who ends up looking the most closed off. 5. You hold eye contact a beat longer than expected. This is such a small physical thing, and it carries so much weight. Most social eye contact is a negotiation, a quiet signal of who yields first. If you hold it slightly longer than expected, not aggressively, just steadily, someone's nervous system reads it as a challenge before their brain catches up to what's actually happening. They walk away feeling strangely exposed, and they won't quite know why. 6. Your standards are visible even when you say nothing. You don't have to say that's not good enough for someone to feel it. If you hold a high bar, people sense it in the questions you ask, in the half-second pause before you respond to an idea. They project their own insecurity onto that silence and decide you're judging them when you were probably just thinking. Standards turn out to be loud even when you never raise your voice. 7. You go quiet exactly when you're most nervous, and it reads as the opposite. This one is the cruelest. Some people get louder when they're anxious. You might go still. Fewer words, flatter tone, right at the moment you're actually the most unsettled. And from the outside, that looks like dismissal. Like you've checked out. Like you're done with them. Meanwhile, you're just trying to hold it together without making it anyone else's problem. Which is its own kind of loneliness. Being at your most fragile, and having it read as your most fearsome. If any of this sounded familiar, I want to say something directly. None of this makes you hard to connect with. it makes you legible to the wrong instruments. Most people are reading you with tools built for loud, easy, performative warmth, and you were never built to run on that setting. The people worth knowing usually figured that out. They just needed a slightly longer runway than everyone else. And they were always worth the wait. If this explains something you felt but never quite had words for, subscribe to Mind Candid. New psychology every week.